Currently, the lesson of today is about temperature of the water. It's for grade 5 and they are between 11 and 12 years old. Firstly, before the experiment, the teacher should give students an basic information about the lesson. After that, the teacher give an instruction for experiment with showing the materials. Basic information. The difference between hot and cold water, the density of water, water molecules, the boiling point of water.
The first experiment. The materials are a cup of cold water, a cup of hot water, yellow and red food dye, card and plate. The first step is let students pour the red food dye into the hot water cup and very carefully stir it around to mix the color. Then they will pour the yellow food dye to cold water. This means that they have a cup of yellow cold water and a cup of hot red water. The second step is let students to put cold water cup inside the plate, then carefully cover it with a card. The next step is students will turn this cup carefully upside down and place the hot cup of water into the plate and carefully place the cold cup on top. Told them that they need to go around every side of the cup and make sure angles line up perfectly. Then let one student very carefully pull out the card from in between the cups. As they do, they will see the waters start to mix, which forms orange color. On the other hand, let students take the cup of hot water, place the card on top, and repeat the same steps. This time, students will put the yellow cup on the bottom and the red cup on the top, and one student will remove the card from the middle. And this time they will see that the waters don't mix.
The second experiment. Materials. 3 glass jars, cold water, room temperature water, hot water, food coloring. Now I will do an experiment of 3 jars of water. Students gonna put food dye to each jar and they're gonna see how the food coloring behave differently in a jar of cold water, of jar temperature water, and in the jar of hot water. First, a student will fill the 3 jars with different temperature water, cold temperature water and hot water. Before I do the experiment, I will ask them to expect what will happen if we put food coloring in each in each water. Then the student will place 2 or 3 drops of food coloring in each jar. After that, they will observe what happens in each jar. I will ask the student what they observed and uh, what they noticed in every jar and what happened. I think students will say they noticed that hot jar mixed quickly, whereas the food coloring in the cold jar mixed very slowly, and that because the molecules
To evaluate the students, the teachers should give a worksheet to students based on their understanding of the lesson. In these questions, students will write what they had observed during the experiments in their own words. The first question is, what did you observe when the hot water was at the top of cold water? The second question is, what happened when the cold water was at the top of the hot water? This is the part 2 of the worksheet, and this is the second experiment questions. The third question is, which one of the jars that the color dye had spread a lot? Hot water, cold water, room temperature water. The fourth question is, why the color dye in the jar of the cold water spread little? Which 5 E's we choose? Explore, explain, evaluate. Which process skills we choose? Observing, analyzing.